Guests, members of the public and members of the Council, welcome and good evening. Please be seated. As many of you will be aware, past Mayor Honorary Alderman Brenda Kirby passed away last week. Members can be reassured that we will be holding a minute silence at the start of the ordinary council meeting that follows the special meeting. It gives me great pleasure to chair the special council meeting for admittance to the role of Honorary Alderman. The former councillors we intend to honour tonight have all given in excess of 20 years of distinguished and dedicated service to the Borough of Croydon. The council agenda details the business of the special meeting. There is also a commemorative programme placed on your seats as a memento of this meeting. Chief Executive.
Members, guests, council officers and members of the public are reminded that in the event of a fire alarm sounding, they should leave the town hall as indicated by officers and congregate in Queen's Gardens until advised by council staff that it's safe to return. In order for members to be heard in the chamber and gallery, and for those watching the webcast, members are reminded to switch their microphones on when speaking and to switch them off at all other times. Council members, officers and members of the public are reminded to leave the meeting should they wish to make or receive a telephone call. With this exception, you are able to record this meeting if you wish, but please refrain from taking photographs of people in the public gallery.
Agenda item 1, apologies for absence. Chief Executive.
Apologies have been received from Councillor Tony Newman, Councillor Elisa Fisher, Councillor Hamid Ali, who are attending the launch of the Black History Month. Apologies are received from Councillor Mark Watson, Bernadette Khan, Matthew Karamaya for lateness.
Any other apologies? Councillor.
Councillor Sue Bennett.
Councillor Helen Pollard.
Agenda item 2, disclosures of interest. Can members please say aye to confirm that their disclosure of interest forms are accurate and up to date? Any other declarations that members may wish to make during the meeting should be made orally. Agenda item 3, admission of Honorary Alderman. Councillor Tim Pollard, would you please move the motion granting the awards?
Madam Mayor, it gives me much pleasure to move this motion, that this Council do hereby admit to the role of Honorary Aldermen and Alderwomen of the Borough the following former councillors in deserved recognition of their long and valued public service as an elected councillor of the London Borough of Croydon: Eddie Aram, Graham Bass, Janet Marshall, David Osland and Avril Slipper, and that the common seal be affixed to a copy of this resolution. Between these 5 members, we have 127 years of service. And if I can just say a very few brief words about each of them, starting, as they say on Strictly, in a particular order rather than no particular order. So I'm doing this alphabetically. Eddie Aram, who served with enormous distinction for a staggering 33 years and became very much Mr. Ashburton in that time. I'm sure Eddie won't mind me saying that he was absolutely famous for his completely bipartisan and non-confrontational style in this chamber. At one stage or another, he served on just about every major committee, but was particularly well known as a long-standing chair of libraries for much of the work done on the redevelopment of the Clock Tower and the Central Library Complex. And he was very much a strong proponent of culture in our town. I noticed as I looked through a list of the things he'd served on, he also served on a number of slightly more obscure things. I noticed in 1982 he was nominated to the Croydon and District Marriage Guidance Council. And I'm sure that's where he got his non-confrontational approach from. And of course he was mayor in 2012-13, and who can forget some of the ingenious renamings that he came up with during that time. I can never look at Councillor Mohan without thinking of Councillor Biddy Mahone of the Dublin Mohans, or of Councillor Jerry Perry on my left here. Councillor Graham Bass served with enormous distinction as member for Purley from 1992 to 2014. And was always known for his avuncular good humour and wise counsel. Very committed to education and schools matters. He frequently gave me the benefit of his advice during the 6 years that I held that portfolio, and it was much appreciated. He was very involved locally in the campaign to redevelop Purley Hospital, and of course had a very successful mayoral year, helping a number of charities, as all mayors have, in particular the Croydon Dyslexia Association, which was a particular passion and commitment of his. Councillor Janet Marshall was elected in 1986 for what was then Spring Park Ward, and then, of course, that became Shirley in 2002. Passionately committed to education and children's social care, served for many years with great distinction in adoption services, and that's a role that she's continued now. She's not a councillor, working as a lay member with some of the council's adoption services, and I know officers greatly appreciate the time and commitment she gives to that. Also very famous for her commitment to education through Coloma Trust, and there are generations of school children yet to go through the system who will benefit from the decisions that Coloma made to expand their network beyond Catholic girls and into education for everyone. She again had a very successful period as mayor, and then in her last couple of years had the great misfortune to serve as my deputy for a couple of years, and the advice and guidance she gave me on matters relating to adoption were enormously appreciated. David Osland, who was elected for Woodcote and Coulsdon West in 1994 and then continued as a councillor for Coulsdon West post-boundary changes, particularly known for his focus on planning and, of course, given his background, matters policing. I first came across David in a major way when he was Group Whip, and he gave me a number of bits of advice about how I should proceed if I ever expected to amount to anything in this chamber. I'm still trying to follow that advice, and I'll let you know if I ever succeed. He served with great distinction as a chair of scrutiny and chair of planning, and of course leaves a very strong legacy for the town in the form of the developments that are now going ahead throughout our town centre. And last in the alphabet, but definitely not least, Avril Slipper. If Eddie was Mr Ashburton, then Avril was quite definitely Mrs Ashburton. Known throughout the ward, every time I campaigned there, people mentioned all the time Eddie and Avril as the figures that they knew. Wide range of interests on the council, ranging from environment to policing to youth justice. She served on planning, licensing, corporate services, and had a very successful period as chair of that committee. Her career culminated in her becoming the borough's first citizen as mayor in 2010-11, and I know that's a role she greatly enjoyed. All of these members have made an outstanding contribution to civic and political life in Croydon, as well as being great servants to their residents in their ward. They all fully deserve the accolade that they're receiving tonight, and it gives me great pleasure to propose this motion. Thank you.
Councillor Sarah Bashford, would you please second the motion?
Madam Mayor, I second the motion.
Does the council approve the resolution? All those in favour say aye. The ayes have it. I invite the Honourary Aldermen to come forward when their names are called to accept the scroll recording the resolution passed by the Council, as well as a gift from the Council in recognition of their service to the people of Croydon.
Eddie Aram. Graham Bass. Janet Marshall. David Osland. Avril Slipper.
Members of the Council, distinguished guests, that concludes the special meeting of the Council. The ordinary Council meeting will reconvene shortly.